Ozempic influencers. They've been around for approximately 5 minutes and they're already as problematic as they sound. Next, what do sunscreen and pizza have in common? You're about to find out. Finally, an out-of-touch food industry CEO suggests you stop feeding your family chicken for dinner and offer them a bowl of sugar instead. All of that and more in today's edition of things I wanted to make a video about, but there isn't quite enough to make a full-length video. This is a new series where I'll cover topics that will make you want to change your behavior, or at least things that I found that made me stop and say, what the heck is going on here? First up, TikTok is cracking down on Ozempic influencers and their underground marketing and promoting of obesity medications, and not the FDA-approved ones either. So Ozempic, Mounjaro, and other weight loss drugs are not only popular, they're viral. They might actually be the world's first trendy medication. And as a result, TikTok has emerged as a go-to hub for information on how to obtain GLP-1 drugs, such as Ozempic. That immediately raises some red flags. So people are getting their information about a serious medication that you inject into your body from TikTok. And this has resulted in the evolution of an entirely new breed of influencer, the Ozempic influencer. So these influencers are people who are either currently on a GLP-1 medication or were previously on a GLP-1 medication and successfully lost weight. There are some who are on TikTok just sharing their experience with the medication, giving tips for dealing with it. Nothing wrong there. But then there's this whole other group who are more focused on spreading awareness of the drug. And by spreading awareness, I mean they are making serious bank off promoting it. At least they were, because now TikTok is trying to ban them from doing this and they're not happy about it. Taylor Hubler went to pull up TikTok on her phone one day last month and saw she was logged out. That's weird, she thought. She'd been continuously logged in for a couple of years. The 33-year-old Oregon resident soon discovered that her account, where she posts about mom life and is paid to promote weight loss medications, had been banned by TikTok for violating its integrity and authenticity policy. New guidelines that will prohibit users from marketing weight loss products. The new rules do not allow facilitating the trade or marketing of weight loss or muscle gain products. So to break this down, these Ozempic influencers are making a commission off of convincing people to take Ozempic. And not the name brand stuff either. Off-brand GLP-1 medication made by third-party companies and then sold by telehealth providers. So in other words, any person can just start promoting a medication and get paid for it. What? And get paid very well. Apparently some of these influencers are making up to $30,000 a month. Imagine how absurd it would be if there were Adderall influencers for ADHD or Zoloft influencers for depression. It's just wrong on so many levels. Also, I do have to say right now, I'm not comfortable on commenting on GLP-1 medications themselves at this point. If you know me, I like to be thorough and I'd have to do a lot of research before I felt like sharing a public opinion on these medications. So I won't be commenting directly on that. But I don't need to do more research to know that the idea of Ozempic influencers is dystopian AF. Like, we're not talking about being influenced into trying a new brand of nail polish or even trying a multivitamin. We're talking about a class of influencers getting paid to promote a drug, a medication. Like, I'm pretty sure every single medication comes with some risk of side effects. If we pull up Mounjaro here, they're pretty serious side effects. Warnings: Mounjaro may cause tumors in the thyroid, including thyroid cancer. Mounjaro may also cause serious side effects, including inflammation of the pancreas, pancreatitis, low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, serious allergic reactions, kidney problems, kidney failure, severe stomach problems, changes in vision, gallbladder problems. Oh, not to mention, the most common side effects of Mounjaro include nausea, diarrhea, decreased appetite, vomiting, constipation, indigestion, and stomach abdominal pain. These are not all the possible side effects of Mounjaro. Talk to your healthcare provider about any side effect that bothers you or doesn't go away. So yeah, I feel like her dance moves maybe just don't adequately communicate the risks here. And immediately I thought of the contrast between this and what happens when you try to advertise a pharmaceutical on TV. If you're from North America, definitely from the States, you know exactly what I mean. When a drug company advertises a pharmaceutical on TV, you have the commercial portion, like the selling of the product. Then basically the rest of the ad is dedicated to the side effects. And sometimes that's longer than the ad part. And if you still have no idea what I'm talking about, let me show you. Exhibit A. An advertisement for Chantix, a medication that helps you quit smoking. I love how it's titled Chantix. This is an actual commercial.
Herb quit smoking with Chantix and support. Talk to your doctor about Chantix and a support plan that's right for you. If you notice agitation, hostility, depression, or changes in behavior, thinking, or mood that are not typical for you, stop taking Chantix and call your doctor right away. Depression or other mental health problems, which can get worse while taking Chantix. Have allergic or serious skin reactions to Chantix, some of which can be life-threatening. Trouble sleeping and vivid, unusual, or strange dreams. Use caution when driving or operating machinery.
The urges weren't like they used to be.
The ad just doesn't have the same persuasive power when 90% of it is dedicated to the side effects. So drug companies have to put all that stuff in their ads because to put something on TV, you have to meet strict regulations because they are selling drugs. And these Ozempic influencers are not held to the same standard. They're not held to any standard at all. Other than this TikTok ban, there's really no regulations. They can do whatever they want. The practice of boosting prescription drugs to consumers on social media falls into murky regulatory territory. Some lawmakers have raised concerns that influencers are not giving consumers a full picture of the risk of the drugs which are injected. In another controversial practice, many influencers are using their own weight loss experiences to drum up sales of GLP-1 drugs that are imitations of brand name versions, made by compounding pharmacies and prescribed by telehealth companies. So the Ozempic influencers are showing off their weight loss and then essentially saying, this could be yours too if you click the link in my bio. And it's clearly working. Look at this. Code please, interested. More info please. I'm interested. How do I get more info? Information please. Only semaglutide, or do you have tirzepatide also? Which med do you suggest? My daughter is on semaglutide and is sick a lot. That last one is the most concerning. Why is this person asking this influencer about advice when her daughter is having health concerns? Not only are they not authorities, they are financially incentivized to get you to sign up for this thing. And they can downplay or even omit the side effects and risks that might cause you to stop and think twice about it. The idea of people being influenced to take a medication is crazy. We're not talking about a multivitamin here. We're talking about a brain-altering, hormone-altering medication that you inject into your stomach. Like, that's a serious decision. You swipe up, you see a cute pet video, then something trendy, and then someone trying to convince you to take a medication. There's also the entire problem of these telehealth companies themselves. They've popped up out of nowhere. Most of them have opened up in the last couple of years, and they are making a killing selling off-brand GLP-1 medications through influencers like these. It's this entire underground economy being propped up and monetized through TikTok. So in my opinion, this is a really dangerous scene. Whatever diet culture was when I was growing up, I feel like this is a lot worse. It kind of feels like a more dangerous version of MLM marketing. Like as if all the moms who would usually be busy selling essential oils just kind of shifted over to medications on TikTok. And for a very extreme example of exactly what can go wrong in this type of situation, just last month, a New York TikToker was charged with selling Ozempic and other misbranded weight loss drugs that cause significant life-threatening injuries. Yeah, someone is recently arrested and looking at 25 years in prison because they were selling Ozempic themselves. Like not through a telehealth company. Themselves. I don't know where they got it from, but they were taking orders on TikTok and then shipping out the product from their own home. And then whatever they sold people was tainted with some sort of bacteria that resulted in people getting lesions all over their body. But here's the thing, this TikTok crackdown hasn't caused these influencers to reconsider their life choices. Not at all. Instead, they're just finding ways to skirt the rules. The first thing Taylor Hubler did after her account was banned was to start a new one. I felt like that's where I had my friends. People I felt safe with, she said. Okay. She plans to talk about GLP-1 in a very specific way, but isn't yet sure how. Maybe she will tell users to check my link in my bio about this company, she said. And another said, we've all had to start talking in code out of fear that TikTok will remove posts with certain terms. I like this one here. You can see here it says, but we will still find ways to advocate. What are you guys advocating for? Your bank account? So yeah, I think I'm on TikTok's side with this one. Ban them up. Hit them with the bans. This is a situation where people need to weigh the pros and cons, not on social media. Ideally with someone very knowledgeable, such as a medical professional, and not through being influenced. Next, let them eat flakes. Kellogg CEO says poor families should consider cereal for dinner.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So
now, you may have already heard this story. It's a few months old now, but I needed a chance to talk about it because it is wild. Let me know in the comments if you mind that it's an older story, if you only want recent stuff, or if it matters to you at all. The multimillionaire chief executive officer of the US food processing giant Kellogg's, a man named Gary Pilnick, has drawn scorn from some quarters after recently suggesting that families with strained finances could cope by eating cereal for dinner.
in general, the cereal category is a place that a lot of folks might come to because the price of a bowl of cereal with milk and with fruit is less than $1. So you can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
The audacity of the food industry never ceases to amaze me. I bet you Gary hasn't eaten a bowl of his own product in a very long time, let alone fed it to his children for dinner. And here's the thing. In general, ultra-processed food brands tend to profit when the economy isn't doing well. The idea is that food is an affordable treat or a pick-me-up that people are still willing to spend money on when things are tight. So Kellogg cereal isn't the only company making money off of the current unfortunate economic situation. But none of the other companies went and said that part out loud, and in the most inconsiderate and condescending way possible.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal, that's going to be much more affordable.
Don't these guys get like media training or something? Kellogg's PR people watching this must have been like, Gary, no. And it's funny, Kellogg's print and TV ads advertising cereal for dinner don't mention anything about people being under pressure financially. The ads instead say things like, are the kids tired of chicken? Then try cereal for dinner.
Cereal! Dinner! Cereal!
Dinner! Chicken!
You can have the night off, chicken.
Probably because people don't generally take kindly to multi-billion-dollar companies being like, real food too expensive, struggling to make ends meet. Sounds like you just might be desperate enough to try feeding your kids our nutrient-devoid, sugar-laden flakes of refined carbohydrate for dinner. But this clip of Gary saying this was posted on a channel meant for investors into Kellogg's, shareholders, not customers. And it's here where we can see what these companies really think of us. Being that Gary is perfectly comfortable admitting that Kellogg's sees families struggling to feed their children as dollar signs, to the point that they don't even care to hide it. And not just people, mind you, their own customers. At one point, the customer was king, as they say, and everything that these companies did was to please the customer. But if you look around at the products and services available today, that hasn't been true for a very long time. Now, the shareholder is king, and some companies do not care if you know it.
I'm all for innovation and marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
We don't think so. In fact, it's landing really well right now, Carl. Cereal for dinner is something that is probably more on trend now, and we would expect to continue as that consumer is under pressure.
Listen, Carl, we're making a lot of money off poor people eating cereal right now, Carl. Let's just say people are, how you say, desperate, Carl? Yeah, that's where Kellogg's cereal really shines. That and marketing to children, of course, and hey, business is booming as usual there as well, Carl.
Is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
We don't think so. In fact, it's landing really well right now, Carl.
Except it did not land well at all, really, with anyone who heard it. It resulted in a full-on Kellogg's boycott and Gary Pilnick being compared to Marie Antoinette, which is so perfect. I don't know who came up with that first, but the parallels are just too good. The year was 1789, and Marie Antoinette, Queen of France, was informed that her subjects were starving and had no bread to eat, to which she callously responded, "Let them eat cake." And the phrase "let them eat cake" went on to represent the perceived ignorance and cold-hearted indifference of the extremely rich ruling class towards the struggles of the poor working class, towards their subjects, towards their customers, if you will. And yeah, as the story goes, this phrase pissed people off to the point that it sparked the French Revolution and ultimately resulted in the untimely death of Marie Antoinette. Now, historians believe that Marie Antoinette did not say that at all, but Gary Pilnick definitely did.
It tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner.
So just remember that next time you're buying cereal. Also, to clarify, I'm not saying that we behead Gary Pilnick. I'm just saying that it's a dick move. Also, we can't leave this discussion without saying that most cereal is not a suitable meal suggestion, especially for children. As we'll recall, cereal was always part of a complete breakfast.
Super Sugar Crisp is coated with super sugar to make it taste so sweet. Post Super Sugar Crisp cereal, part of a balanced
breakfast.
Meaning that it required other items in order to qualify as a complete meal. Not to mention, in the ad, they pictured Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, and sugared mini wheats as their suggestion for these kids. So the idea that this could be a suitable solution to a family struggling with food insecurity at dinner is both insulting and deranged. Finally, a food additive that brightens your food may have some dark side effects, and it raises some important questions about why it's even in our food to begin with. Why Americans are eating a sunscreen ingredient in their frozen pizza. If you've heard of titanium dioxide at all, you probably know it as an ingredient in sunscreen, but it's also used in lots of foods, from pizza and salsa to frosting and candy. And now there is growing concern about the potential health risks of eating it. The ingredient helps block the sun's rays when we slather it on our skin at the beach. Food makers use it to brighten up colors. Think whiter mozzarella on your frozen pizza or more vibrant hues in your Skittles. So a sunscreen ingredient is being used in frozen pizza. And not just frozen pizza. According to the FDA, titanium dioxide can be found in more than 13,000 products in the grocery store, including toothpaste, non-dairy creamers, pastries, salad dressings, and more. And if you're wondering what titanium dioxide does and why it might be in our food, the short answer is it scatters light. In the case of food, it results in a brighter and more saturated looking end product. It kind of makes the colors in food pop. So you can see here the difference that titanium dioxide makes to these candies. The products on the left, the American version, are much brighter and more saturated in color. While on the right, it almost looks like the saturation has been turned down on the products. You kind of have a little bit less of a color range as well. And for the Skittles and the M&Ms, they almost look shinier as well, which would make sense given that titanium dioxide scatters light. But in other words, the main reason that this ingredient is in your food is to make it more attractive, to make it look prettier. But you could see the color difference was really not that major between the two items. So in other words, the main reason this ingredient is in your food is to make it marginally more attractive, which would be fine if there weren't growing health concerns surrounding this ingredient. Some research, mainly in animals, has suggested that eating titanium dioxide might be linked to immune system problems, inflammation, and DNA damage that could lead to cancer. As a result, the European Union banned it back in 2022. California introduced a bill to ban foods with it being served in schools, and a bunch of big public health advocacy groups in the USA petitioned the FDA to have a completely ban from food. And here's the thing, not all chemicals in foods are bad, not all additives are bad. Some are completely benign, they don't affect us in any negative way. But this is not one of those. Considering that titanium dioxide is used solely for superficial purposes and can potentially damage DNA, I think it's a pretty open and shut case with this one. Ban it. Ban it up. Like, if we the people could vote on what goes into our food, I think we would unanimously be like, yeah, I don't think we need that one, do we? Sounds like the risk isn't really worth the reward on that one, is it? And if there was ever any question about what the food industry's priorities were, something as simple as this really proves what they actually care about. It should be like, oh, turns out this ingredient is actually harmful? Our bad. We had no idea. We'll remove it immediately. We don't even need this one. It does next to nothing. It just makes Skittles a little bit shinier. We'll take it out. But instead they're like, listen, we ran the numbers and slightly better looking foods sell 0.0007% more overall. So we're gonna have to keep it in there. I know the whole DNA damage thing sucks, but you understand. Like, why is it like this? Why is this our norm? This is just one of a slew of ingredients that exist solely to benefit the manufacturer at the risk to the consumer. And these guys aren't selling staplers and tablecloths. Like, what they put in our food matters a lot. There should be zero food in the food supply that contain potentially harmful ingredients, yet serve zero function other than making the food look a little teeny bit better. Like, priorities? And it's important to stop and say here, okay, the tiny amount used in food production of one single item is nothing to worry about. You don't need to stress. It's not radioactive, it's just not good. The occasional cupcake or creamer with titanium dioxide likely isn't a problem, says Bischoff. The potential risks are longer term and likely from chronic exposure, he said. So we don't need to panic about these food additives. I personally think stressing over food is really unhealthy, but I like to be aware of what's going on so I can make choices accordingly. Because like he said, you have the one-off thing with something like this in it, or a few of these things in it, and it's not a big deal, but chronic exposure over your lifetime, it could negatively impact your health. And honestly, the easiest way to avoid this issue in the short term is simply to avoid ultra-processed foods as much as possible. And if we all started doing that, the food supply would change for the better. If we demand change, the food manufacturers will change. All they care about is profit at the end of the day. So if we stop buying, they change their behavior. So I hope you guys are enjoying this format. You guys left me so many positive comments. I actually was so surprised by how into it you guys were. Very exciting. And you can also check out my last version of this here. Still a little rough and I'm kind of working out the kinks, but let me know what you thought and I will see you in the next one.